Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka and with me is Nishit Kumar bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participates in ASEAN-India Foreign Ministers meeting at Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Issues of digital, health, agriculture, education and green growth figure in the meeting. Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi says government in touch with educational authorities in Ukraine regarding continuation of studies by Indian students. China holds military exercises encircling Taiwan in wake of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit. G7 countries condemned the move. United States Senate approves Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO. Indian Oil Corporation signs MOU with Bangladesh Roads and Highways Department for emergency supply of petroleum goods to India. And in Commonwealth Games, pugilists Amit Panghal and Jasmine Lamboria assure India bronze medals. Hima Das enters semi-final of women's 200-meter run. And now the news in detail. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participated in the ASEAN-India Foreign Ministers meeting at Phnom Penh in Cambodia on Thursday. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar thanked Singapore Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan and other foreign ministers of ASEAN countries for a good discussion. He said there was a strong convergence on Indo-Pacific United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea, UN clause, connectivity, COVID-19, terrorism, cybersecurity, Ukraine and Myanmar. He added that digital, health, agriculture, education and green growth will drive the ASEAN-India partnership. On the sidelines of the event, Dr. Jaishankar met his Sri Lankan counterpart Ali Sabri and congratulated him on his new responsibility. He reaffirmed India's commitment as a dependable friend and reliable partner to the economic recovery and well-being of Sri Lanka. The External Affairs Minister also met his Vietnamese counterpart and agreed to keep working to maintain the momentum of the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. During the meet, Dr. S. Jaishankar also met United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said on sidelines of ASEAN ministerial meeting, he discussed the ever-strengthening India-US relationship and the global situation with Mr. Blinken. Dr. Jaishankar also met Foreign Affairs Minister of Australia Penny Wong and discussed the regional and global issues. Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi has said that the government has been in touch with the educational authorities in Ukraine regarding the continuation of studies by Indian students who returned from Ukraine. In a written reply in the upper house on Thursday, Ms. Lekhi said currently the ground situation in that country does not permit the return of Indian students. She said Ukrainian side has reiterated its willingness to allow Indian students to continue their courses online. The minister said National Medical Commission NMC has devised a scheme under which Indian medical students who did not undergo physical clinical training due to the extraordinary situation but were granted certificates of completion of degree by respective institutes in foreign countries on or before 30th of June 2022 will be permitted to appear in the foreign medical graduate examination.
India and the US will conduct a fortnight-long mega military exercise in Uttarakhand's Auli in October this year. The 18th edition of exercise, Yuddh Abhyas, is scheduled to take place from October 14 to 31st. A number of complex drills are being planned for the mega exercise. The exercise is aimed at enhancing understanding, cooperation and interoperability between the two armies. The last edition of the exercise took place in October last year in Alaska in the US. The Indo-US defense ties have been on an upswing for the past few years. In June 2016, the US designated India a major defense partner. The two countries have also inked key defense and security pacts over the past few years, including the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, LEMOA, the agreement that allows militaries of the two countries to use each other's bases for repair and replenishment of supplies as well as provides for deeper cooperation. A parliamentary panel has asked the government to initiate consultations with all the stakeholders without delay for the rehabilitation of Indian workers who have lost their jobs abroad in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The panel on external affairs, headed by P.P. Chaudhary, tabled its report in Parliament on Wednesday. The panel observed that the government is implementing various programs and schemes for the welfare of Indian diaspora. No specific scheme exists for the rehabilitation of the workers who lost their jobs, including the huge population of the Gulf returnees in wake of this pandemic. The committee members are aware that many workers have gone back to their employment abroad with the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic situation and the reopening of doors to Indian workers by the Gulf countries.
China has initiated its largest ever military exercises encircling Taiwan this morning after United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi left the island on Wednesday. Her visit sparked a furious reaction from Beijing, which vowed punishment and announced military drills in the seas around Taiwan, some of the world's busiest waterways. The exercises, which began around 0400 hour GMT, involved live firing, according to state media. State broadcaster CCTV reported that 6 major areas around the island have been selected for this actual combat exercise, and during this period, relevant ships and aircraft are directed not to enter the relevant waters and airspaces. Taiwan's defense ministry said it is closely watching the drills and that the island is prepared for conflict but would not seek it. In a statement, the Ministry of National Defense stressed that it will uphold the principle of preparing for war without seeking war and with an attitude of not escalating conflict and causing disputes. Citing military analysts, Beijing's nationalist state-run tabloid Global Times said that the exercises are unprecedented and that missiles are flying over Taiwan for the first time. Taiwan has described the exercises as an irrational move to challenge the international order. The Group of 7 Industrialized Nations, G7, has condemned military drills announced by China around Taiwan in the wake of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit. In a statement, the G7 foreign ministers said there is no justification to use a visit as pretext for aggressive military activity in the Taiwan Strait, and China's escalatory response risks increasing tensions and destabilizing the region. The G7 foreign ministers called on China not to unilaterally change the status quo by force in the region and to resolve cross-strait differences by peaceful means. The statement said there is no change in the respective One China policies where applicable and basic positions on Taiwan of the G7 members. G7 foreign ministers said we reaffirm our shared commitment to maintaining the rules-based international order, peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and beyond. Singapore also said it hopes the United States and China can exercise self-restraint and refrain from actions that will further escalate tensions amid concerning cross-strait developments. Meanwhile, Taiwan's defense ministry said it scrambled fighter jets on Wednesday to respond to 27 Chinese military aircraft that flew through its air defense zone.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Thursday that Beijing will not manufacture a crisis or seek a pretense to increase its aggressive military action as China fired missiles towards waters near Taiwan as part of exercises near the self-governing island in the wake of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit there. Speaking at the ASEAN-US ministerial meeting in Cambodia, Blinken noted that many countries around the world believe that escalation serves no one and could have unintended consequences that serve no one's interests, including ASEAN members and including China. The top US diplomat said that maintaining cross-strait stability is the interest of all countries in the region, including all of our colleagues within ASEAN. And in today's hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on implication of the China-US standoff. In conversation are Sashi Uban Tripathi, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing the latest tensions between US and China over the visit of Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. We see that the Chinese reaction has been full of anger, and Taiwan seems to be under increased aggressive action by China. Ambassador Tripathi, when you see the Chinese reaction to the visit of the US Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan, one, how do you interpret this reaction, and do you think the visit by the US House Speaker was a prudent move?
Yes. Hello, Simran. How are you? It's good to be with you once again. Now, talking about this development, I think it's been a stunning development, right? Stunning development, absolutely. I mean, look at the optics of it. Here is the third most important politician in the U.S., in the U.S. hierarchy. Number 3. after the president, vice president, the speaker, and she makes a landing in a controversial country, escorted by American fighter jets and naval warships. Look at the optics of it. It can't be more spectacular than that. Also, on a serious note, it has jolted geopolitics. And the question arises is why did the US do something like this at this time? So let me address that first, because, a lot of people are asking, okay, it's fantastic for the US to have done what they did. But why did they do it at this time? There are a number of factors. First one that I would like to mention is that the US and many other responsible countries, even India, were upset over China's aggressive policies in Asia Pacific, especially in the South China Sea. You know that the formation of the Quad of countries, India, Australia, Japan and the US, has also been a kind of response to China's aggressive actions and footprint in Asia Pacific. Now, this time around, China has been very aggressive in the South China Sea. They are building and have built islands which are like armed fortresses, thus frightening their smaller neighbors like the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam. And also, there is a threat that they might cordon off that piece of water for trading ships and create a huge fallout, negative fallout for international trade. So that was one big reason. Second reason, I think, was that China made the mistake of threatening the US and saying that if Nancy Pelosi made this visit, they would shoot the aircraft down. Now, after that kind of a threat, if they had backed off, then they would have lost faith in the rest of the world. So it was like a dare, and the US had to show that they had taken the dare. The third reason, I feel, is that Xi Jinping has made it quite clear in many statements that his vision is for one China. Now, do remember that their elections are coming up, and Xi Jinping is looking to a third term as the Secretary General of the party and President of China. So he would be very much enamored of trying to give his vision a reality. And in order to tell him that he must not do something like that, not hazard and adventure at this stage, I think the US decided to go ahead with the visit. The floor is yours now.
Ambassador Tripathi, we see that Nancy Pelosi, in a statement which was issued, said that America's solidarity with the 23 million people of Taiwan is more important today than ever as the world faces a choice between autocracy and democracy. This visit by Nancy Pelosi will even further deteriorate what we have seen an already tense relationship between US and China. Are we likely now to see this relationship getting worse with time?
Well, this is bound to have a negative reaction on the relationship. I have no doubt about that. But then the relations were not good at all, and it had come to daring one another. That's not done in international relations. You can't dare each country. Please remember that 1962, when China attacked us, do you remember what they said? I'll quote their exact words. They said, "Don't say we didn't warn you. Don't say we didn't warn you." It was a dare. At that time, we were not capable enough. We were a very, very young independent country. We were not capable enough to take that dare. But they said the same thing to the US, and the US can't take it lying down. So I think in a way it will not improve relations, but it will act as a kind of a deterrent to further deterioration of relations, I feel.
Ambassador Tripathi, we also see that about a week back, the US and Chinese leaders, that is the US President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, they had a phone call that lasted for more than 2 hours, and President Biden had told his Chinese counterpart that the US strongly opposed any unilateral moves to change the island's status. But he had also added that the US policy on Taiwan had not changed.
China was bound to punish Taiwan. That was written on the card. China could not take out its ire on the United States, but it was certain that it would punish Taiwan. And they have started doing that by, as you said, laying siege to the country, a naval siege and a siege by air, because their fighter jets have been intruding into Taiwanese airspace. Also, they have put in a ban on exports from or in from Taiwan. There was actually quite a robust trade between China and Taiwan, and it was in favor of Taiwan. So I believe they put a ban on many of the items which they import from Taiwan. This was bound to happen, but I suppose Taiwan must also have factored in, these points when they went ahead with the visit. Otherwise, if they were scared, they could have said that we don't want the visit at this particular time or whatever, but they went ahead. And so they must have factored it all in their reckoning of how they would respond to China. Now, talking of the U.S. Attitude towards China and Taiwan, and that policy of one country, two systems, which U.S. follows. I just want to give a little bit of a background. I'm sure you know, and our viewers, our listeners know, that after the decline of the Qing dynasty, there was a civil war in China between Kuomintang leaders and the communists led by Mao Zedong. Now, there came a pause during the Second World War, but in 1949, civil war started again and resulted in the victory of the communists, with the result that the Kuomintang leaders then fled from their capital in Nanking to Taipei and declared them kind of autonomous. However, the relationship was vague. China, of course, never accepted secession. As for the U.S. has also kept its relationship strategically vague. Till about 71, in fact, the U.S. recognized Kuomintang, but in 71, when Nixon visited China, at that time, relationship between China and the U.S. began to improve. And in 1979, for the first time, the U.S. opened its embassy in Beijing and toned down its relationship with Taiwan. So this is the background. Now, after having done that and then accepted one China, two systems, it would be difficult for the U.S. to go back. But this is, as I said, Nancy Pelosi in her statement said that we stand by our avowed policy towards China and Taiwan, but at the same time, we respect and we will stand by Taiwan for its democratic credentials are concerned.
Ambassador Tripathi, how do you see India factoring into this, what we have seen, and a renewed tensions between the U.S. and China? How do you see this flare up in the region? Do you think this also affects India in a very geopolitical fashion?
Now, India has been watching and waiting and has not made any comment on this action. I haven't seen any comment. I don't know if you have. And that's a responsible thing to do, to be cautious, because we are also a rising power in not only in Asia but in the world, and we have to move caution and responsibility. As far as implications for us are concerned, I personally feel, and this is my personal view, that this action can only be good for India. It can be good in the sense that the U.S. is a strategic partner of India today. We have very close relations with the U.S. And if the U.S. can stand by Taiwan in the face of Chinese provocations, then the hope is that it will also stand by its other allies, including India. The only worry that I have is that China is now riled so much that they are going to show their anger, of course, on Taiwan, but they might try to do something against India just to save face, because they're so riled up. They might try something. So we have to keep our powder dry. We must not say anything, but we must be ready for any eventuality. Already, a few days ago, that China is sending a spy ship to the Sri Lankan port of Habantota, which is very close to our coast. We have complained to Sri Lanka about it, and Sri Lanka has said they will find out from China what is the nature of this ship and what is its aim. But we know what the nature of the ship is and what is its aim. And its aim is to spy on Indian installations in South India and to keep track of all our developments in that region. So that's what happened before the Nancy visit. This was already there on the cards. But my fear is that in order to save face, they might try some adventure against India, for which we must always be prepared.
With these comments, we bring today's discussion to an end. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan has said that under its Neighbourhood First policy, India is committed to developing friendly and mutually beneficial relations with its neighbours. He said in line with this policy, the Government of India continues to assist Sri Lanka in its economic development, as also support it in overcoming its economic challenges. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha on Thursday, Mr. Muralidharan said, in January this year, India extended a $400 million currency swap to Sri Lanka under the SARC framework and deferred successive Asian Clearing Union ACU settlements till 6th of July 2022. He said a line of credit of $500 million was extended to Sri Lanka for importing fuel from India. President of Maldives, Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, visited the Jawaharlal Nehru Port, JNPT, on the second day of his Maharashtra visit. During this visit, Chairman of JNPT, Sanjay Sethi, apprised him of the importance and special features of this port. After welcoming President Solih, Mr. Sethi apprised him that this port is located very close to the upcoming Navi Mumbai International Airport and is well connected by all modes of transport. He also informed that the port has now risen from 146 to 63 in the global rankings due to its consistent performance.
Indian Oil Corporation Limited, IOCL, has signed an MOU with the Bangladesh Roads and Highways Department in Dhaka for the emergency supply of petroleum goods via Bangladesh territory to India. This is an interim setup to facilitate urgent supply of petroleum products due to damage caused by the flood in Assam this year, said the Indian High Commission in a tweet. The petroleum tankers will enter from Meghalaya and will go to Tripura, crossing through the Bangladesh territory. The IOCL will bear all the administrative fees, charges and local taxes, including road usage fee for use of the Bangladeshi territory. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh in a statement said that the MOU has been signed in the spirit of good neighbourly relations to allow Indian vehicles for transportation of the fuel from Assam to Tripura by road, which has been severely disrupted due to the recent floods in Assam and Tripura. Ambassador of China to Bangladesh, Li Jiming, has said that China and Bangladesh have always understood and supported each other on issues of core interest concerning respective sovereignty, security and territorial integrity. In a statement issued on Thursday, Mr. Jiming said that China believes that the government and people of Bangladesh will continue to abide by the One China people, understand and support China's legitimate and justified position on Taiwan question and work together with China to defend regional peace, stability and security.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. The United States Senate on Wednesday approved Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO. The vote on easily surpassed the two-thirds majority needed to back the ratification of the accession documents, with 95 senators voting in support. U.S. President Joe Biden in a statement said that this historic vote sends an important signal of the sustained bipartisan U.S. commitment to NATO. He said it is also to ensuring the alliance is prepared to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. The Nordic countries, which had long maintained neutrality, launched a bid to join the 30-member alliance in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. All 30 NATO member states must approve the accession protocols. And now, a report from the business world.
The Sensex fell 52 points to finish at 58,299. The Nifty slipped 6 points to end at 17,382. Global share markets gained amid good company earning reports. Hong Kong's Hang Seng surged 2.1% and China's Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.8%. Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed 0.7%. Singapore's Straits Times gained 0.6% and South Korea's Kospi ended 0.5% up. European share markets were also positive in intraday trade. Crude oil prices were under pressure following a a rise in US crude oil inventories and the decision of OPEC and allies to raise output by 1 lakh barrel a day in September. Brent prices hit a 6-month low. Brent crude was trading near $96.70 per barrel. And in the forex market, the rupee depreciated 31 paisa against the US dollar. The domestic currency closed at 79 rupees and 47 paisa against the American unit. Anubha Rohatgi for World News, All India Radio.
Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur has said that the priority of the Government of India led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to build everlasting links among the youth across the world. Addressing the youth participants and official representatives from the BRICS countries at the opening ceremony of the BRICS Youth Camp on Thursday through video, Mr. Thakur highlighted the Lifestyle for Environment Life campaign launched by Prime Minister and urged the youth to come together and take it forward, which can become a mass movement towards an environmentally conscious lifestyle. On Day 7 of the Commonwealth Games 2022 in Birmingham, boxer Amit Panghal has assured India at least a bronze medal with a win over Scotland's Lennon Mulligan in the men's flyweight quarterfinals. Boxer Jasmine Lamboria defeated New Zealand's Troy Garton in women's lightweight quarterfinal by split decision and assured of a medal. Pugilist Sagar Ahlawat also reached the semi-finals by beating Seychelles' Keddy Evans Agnes in the men's super heavyweight category. Hima Das won her 200-meter heats with a time of 23:42 and qualified for the semi-final. In men's hockey, with the help of hat-trick by Harmanpreet, India defeated Wales by 4-1 and entered the semi-finals. Shuttler PV Sindhu begins her women's singles campaign with a 21-4, 21-11 win against Nabaha Abdul Razak from Maldives in round of 32. In table tennis, mixed doubles in round of 64, India's Sanil Shetty and Reet Tennyson defeats Malaysia's Wong Ki Shen and T.A. Shin. In men's singles, Group 2, Raj Aravindan Alagar defeated England's Dan Bullen by 3-1.
And now let us listen to our special program, Potpourri.
When the alarm sounds at GKA Hospital in southern Japan, nurses race down a staircase. Their mission is to rescue an infant left in the country's only baby hatch. For 15 years, the clinic has been the only place in Japan where a child can be anonymously and safely abandoned. The pioneering hospital in the Kumamoto region also offers a 24/7 pregnancy support hotline and the country's only confidential birth program. Head doctor Takeshi Hasuda said there are women out there who are ashamed that they did something horrible by getting pregnant and are scared. Hospital staffer Saori Taminaga said they offer to get the health of mothers checked up, providing support and encouraging them to leave information that could help a child learn their origins later. The hospital opened its baby hatch in 2007, modeled on the German scheme. In all, 161 babies and toddlers have been dropped at the hospital so far, with some coming from the Tokyo region, about 1,000 kilometers away and beyond. Abortion has been legal in Japan since 1948 and is available until 22 weeks. But a consent is required from a male partner. Exceptions are granted only in cases of rape or domestic abuse or if the partner is dead or missing.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Globe and Mail reports Canadian armed forces to start training Ukrainian soldiers in third country. The Washington Post Russian court sentences WNBA star Brittany Griner to 9 years in prison on drug charges. South China Morning Post says China scraps meeting with Japanese foreign minister after G7 statement. The Wall Street Journal reports U.S. trade deficit narrows as energy export rise. The Financial Times writes Alibaba's revenue falls for first time since New York listing. The Guardian writes Bank of England hikes interest rates and warns UK to enter recession with inflation to pass 13%. The Japan Times report Japan says 5 Chinese ballistic missiles landed inside EEZ near Okinawa. Business Standard reports Bangladesh to resume talks for the import of wheat from Ukraine. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participates in ASEAN-India Foreign Ministers meeting at Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Issues of digital, health, agriculture, education and green growth figure in the meeting. Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi says government in touch with educational authorities in Ukraine regarding continuation of studies by Indian students. China holds military exercises encircling Taiwan in wake of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit. G7 countries condemned the move. United States Senate approves Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO. Indian Oil Corporation signs MOU with Bangladesh Roads and Highways Department for emergency supply of petroleum goods to India. And in Commonwealth Games, pugilist Amit Panghal and Jasmine Lamburia Shaw, India bronze medal. Hima Das enters semi-final of women's 200-meter run. And with that, we end this news bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.